Hi, welcome to the second session of the spawning explanation in Moose. Last time I went quickly through some of the basics around spawning using Moose and some of the basic functions of the spawn class. Today I'm going to do a more thorough review excuse me, of the spawning class, and I will demonstrate most of these spawning functions so that you get a better idea what these functions do, and to also see a live demonstration of these spawning functions in action. A quick recap of the spawn class functionality. The spawn class is, as you've seen, is to dynamically spawn new groups of units during mission execution. So whenever you need to spawn a new unit, the spawn class should be able to spawn new groups of units using defined templates. Spawning will allow you to randomize the routes of spawn groups. It will allow you to schedule spawning new groups with defined timing intervals with the randomization on the timing, but also to putting a limit on how many groups can be spawned and how many groups or units are alive at the same time. You should be able to respawn groups whenever you need to. And a very nice feature as well that I think I'm going to extend in the future is that you can make arrays of groups which are visible before mission execution. So for example, you have 150 tanks. Well, you want to make those 150 tanks available. They're not yet active within the mission, but they are visible within the mission environment. So you can fly over those arrays of tanks, and it's quite spectacular. And I'll show you how this looks like in the demos. You should use the spawn as well when you want to simulate groups when they land at an airport or a helicopter FARP, that those groups are respawned automatically after the landing event or when they taxi to their landing place and they shut down their engine without any intervention. Nice feature as well that I can show you in a minute in a demo. And another feature is the spawn class will monitor when spawn groups are being damaged, that those groups are cleaned properly, and so to fully utilize the limit that's defined here to ensure that the maximum amount of possible groups are alive within the mission, and there are no damaged groups sitting there doing nothing. And the last point is, so you want to be able to spawn new groups maybe from the position of another unit during mission execution or within a zone whenever you need to. So I'll move now forward to the demonstrations to show you the coding of these functions, as well the demo, how this runs in a mission. So here we are in the documentation location of Moose on the web. Its URL is flightcontrol-master.github.io/moose. And when you browse this documentation, you can now quickly move to the spawn class. Here there's a link, and you get all of the documentation of the spawn class online. The spawn class has construction methods. There are actually two: spawn new and spawn with an alias. I need to add this here. I think it's a bug. Okay. And it has also initialization methods. You can put a limit on how many units can be spawned. You can randomize the routes, and you can randomize the templates being used during spawning. Very nice feature. You can spawn units from an uncontrolled position. You can create arrays, and you can repeat groups. These are the more advanced initialization methods. There are also basic spawning methods. You can spawn groups. You can respawn groups. You can schedule spawning of groups. You can spawn from a unit, and you can spawn within a given zone. And as I explained before, there is a cleanup function where you can then clean up any object that has been spawned. So the first explanation that I will focus on is how to schedule the spawning of new groups. You can schedule spawning by using the spawn scheduled function. Spawn scheduled function takes two parameters, a spawn time in seconds and a time variation in a percentage. In this example, the spawn plane scheduled will be spawned every 30 seconds with a 40% timing variation. You can see the other ones here as well defined. So in this example, you have a 30-second interval with a 100% timing variation. This means that the spawning of this object can happen within 60 seconds, but it can also happen theoretically in 0 seconds, directly after the previous spawn. This one is every 30 seconds with a 50% variation, so possibly every 45 seconds or every 15 seconds. I think you get the idea. Let me go quickly show you the demo of this. So within the demonstration of this mission at Batumi right now, you can see ships, a tanker, a plane and a helicopter being spawned at the airport or near the airport within the intervals as defined. Let's have a look at the seconds. So most of them were every 30 seconds. And let's look at how this with a accelerated time lapse looks like. There you go. There's a new tanker, there's a new plane, there's a new ship. And you see that the randomization of these timings differ. Yeah, so you see, for example, the tanker not being, these spawns are not symmetrically done. Yeah, there's a difference between the distance. I think that explains enough. Yeah, so let me view you how this looks like in the mission, just to have some nice graphics of this. Here you go, very nice. All right, so I think you get the... Okay, the next function I'm going to explain you is the repetition of spawning of units, existing units when they land. So there are two essential functions here that you need to learn. The first is init repeat on landing. The second one is init repeat on engine shutdown. As you can see, quickly let's go through the code. I'm declaring 4 spawn objects, a Ka-50 helicopter, an Mi-8, a C-101 and an A-10C. And the helicopter, the Ka-50, and the plane, the 101, I'm going to respawn them when they land, and immediately after landing they will respawn. You'll see that in the demo. The Mi-8 and the A-10C, they will respawn when they landed, when their engine shuts down. So you'll see them respawning when they've taxied to the home spot. So I got those spawning objects. I have initialized their respawning behavior when they land. Now I'm going to spawn 8 objects at the airport, and you'll observe the behavior. So as you can see, I'm having 8 airplanes at Kobuletti. They're taxiing to their runway to take off. Let me speed it up a bit. Yeah, very nice sight. Alright, so they're off. Let me show you how this behaves. And now they start flying around until they land. I'm not going to bore you with waiting until they land, so I'm going to skip a few seconds here. So here you got an A-10 which landed. It's taxiing back to the airport because we asked him to respawn when they shut down their engines. There's an Mi-8 and a Ka-50. Now you see immediately the Ka-50, when it landed at the runway, it respawned immediately. Let's have a look at the behavior of the other plane, the A-10C. So it's taxiing to its home spot here. Here you go. Now let's see what it does when it shuts down its engine. There you go. As you can see, the A10C response, it doesn't restart at its home location, but it gets a new location when it responds. So basically what we've done here is we've done this loop of respawning airplanes in a few lines of code. The next demo is spawning planes at Soganluk. Here I'm spawning again scheduled every 30 seconds with 0 seconds variation, but I'm spawning with a limit of 2. So I'm not going to spawn endlessly units. I'm going to spawn units with only a max of 2. For the plane and helicopter, and the vehicle just 1. So here I got a helicopter taking off, flying around. I got another helicopter taxiing there. So I got 2 helicopters, and that's the limit which will be spawned. And I got some SAM sites there in red, and they're gonna shoot the helicopter. Voila, that helicopter is going down. I hope so. Yeah, it is. Looks like it. So, in the meanwhile, the F-117A is taking off, which has a much better radar, stealth shield than the helicopter. So the helicopter is going down, and observe now that now the helicopter has crashed. There's only 1 available. So right now, in a few seconds, there should be another Chinook spawning. There you go. Yeah, so I think that really illustrates. Another very interesting feature is that the stealth fighter is not really getting a lot of radar missile hits because radar can't track it really. Very funny. Okay, that's nice play. Next demo. The next demo is about spawning units and route randomization. So here I'm going to spawn 5 planes, 5 helicopters, 10 vehicles, and they're gonna run a randomized route. Let me show you what route they will follow so that you can understand. Vehicles will spawn here. They will randomize the route starting from waypoint 1 to waypoint 3 with 1,000 meter variance. Planes will start mid-air, so you got 2 air units here, a plane, a helicopter, and they will spawn and fly to Guduata. They will randomize the route waypoint 1 and waypoint 2 with 4,000 meter variance. So this is how the mission runs. You see the planes and helicopters being spawned. You see some vehicles here being spawned. And you see clearly that they start driving different routes. Yeah, very nice. Planes flying different routes. And helicopters flying different routes. You can really tweak the randomization radius. So if you say 10,000 meters, it will really randomize the route for you. Yeah? Just be careful, because it may also mean that some units, so when your waypoint here would be too near to the beginning, it might mean that the unit might fly back, because the radius of your randomization is so big that it will maybe choose a waypoint that's even before your initiating waypoint. So really be careful not taking the radius too large. Yeah, but I think the demo here speaks for itself. And the ground units are driving their own way, so it's really a nice function. Okay, next one. The next demo is about cleaning up units. This is a bit difficult to explain, but some air units specifically helicopters, when they get damaged, they will land on the ground and they will just sit there. They will still be alive within the simulator, and they will just sit there doing nothing until that unit gets being shot. And within the spawning logic. This is unfortunate because if I'm having a limit of 3 helicopters that needs to be live and there are 2 on the ground sitting there doing nothing because they got shot down, but they're damaged, but they do nothing, they're still alive, then it means that there's only 1 helicopter left that's doing useful work within the mission. So the cleanup function here takes care of that. It will scan continuously if there's any helicopter that's being shot sitting there on the ground doing nothing, and it will clean it up after 60 seconds. So this will ensure that you'll have 3 helicopters within the mission executing useful tasks continuously. Let me show you how this works. I've set up a nice scenario for this, using air ground units shooting the helicopters with missiles. And sometimes the helicopter will get damaged and will land successfully on the ground, and then I will show you what happens. This is the mission near Kutaisi. I got 3 helicopters taking off, and they're gonna fire these vehicles here, and the vehicles will also be spawned, and they will do some nice fireworks to the helicopters. So here I got some helicopters spawning right now, an Mi-28N. This is the best helicopter to really demonstrate this behavior of landing, being damaged but not really dead. And I got some vehicles driving around here with some heat-seeking missiles. I'm going to speed up the timing a bit just to show you the fireworks and what happens when one of these helicopters gets shot and land. So this looks like a helicopter that's damaged and now it's landing. It's doing an auto-rotation landing and it successfully lands. Now it's going to sit there and do nothing. And you really don't want that. So if it stays here, you will only have 2 active helicopters doing some work in the mission. And this helicopter will just do nothing until it gets shot. So what the logic does here, it will delete this unit and it will respawn it after a while. So now you can see that the respawning happened. I got 2 helicopters live right now, but I guess there will be a 3rd one coming up in a minute. Yes, there it is. So now I got back 3 helicopters. Perfect. Okay. The next demo is about spawning scheduled vehicles, but here I'm building an array of vehicles. This is also very interesting. The array is built with 4 parameters. So before the mission starts, the array will create 200 vehicles on the ground with an angle of 59 degrees. I will show you immediately what that angle means. 20 vehicles as a width with a separation of 20 meters in the X and 10 meters in the Y dimension. So what you'll get is you'll get about 20 vehicles to 100 vehicles on the Y side. And I'm going to show you immediately how this looks like. So as you can see, here are the units viewed within an array. Quite a sight, I would say. And the schedule will activate these units one by one. These units will start driving to defined waypoints, which currently is a bit of a strange behavior because somehow they start driving between those groups that were being spawned. They actually should go on the road and drive away. But you see the idea of it, yeah? So let me jump to the next object quickly. and explain what that does. The next one is more complicated. So here I got within the mission editor, I got 10 different templates of vehicle, what do you call this in English? Vehicle content. So I got different vehicle groups with different vehicles in the group, A till J, and this is my template array. Now I can use the function Randomize Template, which gets the array as an input, and I can build an array containing 80 vehicles, where on the x-axis I got 20 vehicles, and they are separated with 8 meters to 8 meters. So I will get an array of 20 to 40 vehicles, no, 20 to 40 vehicles, which gives me, no, 20 to 4 vehicles, which gives me 80 vehicles, separated by 8 meters with an angle of 49 degrees. Now let me show you how that looks like in the mission. Of course I need to go there. Here it is. So this is how these vehicles would look like. You'll see that right now these vehicles have separate, see, there are separate types being created in the array. So the Randomize Template is really a very nice feature. You can use the Randomize Template to actually, within the same spawning object, to have different templates of vehicles being ready to be spawned. Yeah. In the Gorey Valley mission, I'm really using an extensive, I'm using this extensively to randomize different vehicle types within a schedule. Alright, so I hope that really explains the Randomize Template and the array function. No, I forgot to mention one thing, and that is, how do I get the angle? And for that, I will need to quit the mission and go back to the mission editor. So you can get the angle really simply by using the measurement tool. I'm going on my unit here, and I'm measuring, or I'm drawing an array, and I'm getting here the angle in degrees, 59 degree, which I can then use within my mission editor in my script to say, this is the angle that I want to have. This is the projection of how I want my units to be distributed within the mission. And in the other example, I will have about 49, I guess. Yeah. So if I want to have the here, yeah, the units being distributed equally to the road, here you go, 49 degrees. So this is how you can get the angle being determined very easily. Also take care, so these are my templates here, by the way. So you can define templates with late activation on with the name correctly, so from A till J, yeah, and then you can define the array within your mission editor, define the table of vehicle templates within your mission editor that you can then use to actually randomize the array and the spawning of different templates within your array. Okay, you should play with it. You should really try this out yourself and play with it, and then you'll see how it works. The next demo is about providing some scenarios where I'm spawning infantry from vehicles when they arrive at a certain waypoint, or I'm spawning vehicles which are being spawned when the helicopter is in a certain waypoint as well. So how this works is, I'm having in my mission here, I'm having those vehicles. Let me show you where that really is happening. It's in my COP. So I got here an array of vehicles, and when I go to the advanced waypoint actions and I'm browsing, you can see that at waypoint 1 I'm running a script. So I'm asking them, please hold here for a few seconds. There's a duration that I just added. I think it's stop condition. Yeah, duration 30 seconds. And then I'm running a script here, and the script is I'm using actually the infantry, the spawn infantry that I declared within my mission. And by the way, that's going to be a global variable. So I can use then the spawn infantry by using the method spawn from unit, which then takes a group, which is, you know, the 3 dots. Maybe you don't know this, but what happens is you get the group at the waypoint as a parameter that's represented by the 3 dots. So I'm constructing a new group from that. Then I can get the first unit of that. Parameter is the outer radius. So within 100 meters, I want to spawn this new infantry with a 5 meter inner radius. I don't want those units to be hitting my vehicle, so I want them to spawn at least 5 meters from my vehicle. And then I got then the infantry group as a result, and I'm using the infantry group to then start copying a route. It's too complicated right now, but I'm really going to go through that in the second demo when I talk about group. So I'm copying the route of the group. I got the route, and then I'm saying route the infantry group following the route that I just retrieved from the template group, and that's really working. The next one is the helicopter. The helicopter is flying around. Next example, and at waypoint 3 I am orbiting the helicopter for a duration, and again I'm spawning the vehicles. So I'm getting the group of the helicopter, which is given as a parameter by the 3 dots, and I'm getting the first unit, and then I'm using the function spawn to zone. So I'm using another function, yeah, spawn to zone. So that's really going to drop the units, and those units, those infantry, will then go to a defined zone. Let me show you how this works. So here you can see some vehicles within an array that were being created. They drive away to a certain waypoint, and they will drop some infantry. Remember, 100 meter outer radius and 5 meters inner radius, so they will not hit the vehicle. The vehicle holds at a certain position and then spawns it. And this iteration is done for all the vehicles that were spawned dynamically within the array. So the coding is really minimal, and because you're spawning about 10 vehicles of the same type as a template, and remember, the logic is within the waypoint, within the template, so you're actually repeating this logic 10 times. So now I got a helicopter which is orbiting at a certain position, and it's spawning a new unit from the helicopter. It's like simulating here a sling load. But now I've seen in the new DCS version 1.5 that you got real sling loading with transportable options, etc. I've been playing around with it. I haven't really got it working, but you can use this template here to really simulate a sling loading behavior. If the real sling loading function from DCS is not working yet. So this is one of the more advanced scenarios that you can do with spawning objects from a unit. So I hope you enjoyed this, yeah? Right, so this concludes a more in-depth session about spawning groups and units within a running mission. I hope you found it interesting. I guess the spawning API will change over the future a bit. Probably I will rename a couple of functions, or I will add or delete a couple of parameters within those functions. But this video is not meant to be an exact explanation how to use a spawning object. I think for that you can really look into the documentation further on of the spawning classes. The Moose documentation you can find here, flight control-master.github.io/moose. Within this, over time I will add more Moose Lua classes as a reference within this page, but you can hyperlink the spawn class documentation here, and you can find all of the APIs available within the spawn class being documented. Let me show you, for example, the array function, so you can see here very clearly the description of the different parameters and so on, and functions. There's even a usage in it that you can use as a reference. So I hope you really enjoyed this in-depth session, and any questions or any comments to this spawn class can be added to a new thread that I will start within a few seconds after this demo on the Eagle Dynamics forums. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Bye bye.